But okay, after all of that, now you guys now got married.
Yeah.
Everything and baby.
Yeah. I know. I mean, so we maybe let me back. We got married, right? And then we were like, he was still in school. My husband was still in school, and I was like, okay.
Was doing his MBA.
He was, yeah. He was studying for his MBA. Yes, so MBO. Yeah, so the plan was, okay, let's we might just wait till he's done with school before having babies and all that. So I don't know if I've ever even shared with any of you, but so I found out shortly after the wedding that I was pregnant after the wedding, and I had a trip booked actually.
But then you mean after your Nigerian wedding?
The Nigerian
wedding.
wedding.
Already married.
Yes, yeah. So we got married in the US in March, in the court, and then we went to Nigeria in May for the wedding, for the white wedding. So we had the wedding, came back, and then I found out, I think in July, that I was pregnant.
Was it July? Or before July? Because I remember we were going for Itarak when you were like, Ebo, sorry.
No. Oh, no. Oh, this was a different pregnancy.
Oh.
Yes. So I found out in July that I was pregnant. Yes. And then it was very, because I had never experienced that kind of a thing, right? And for some reason, I wasn't feeling well. And I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, okay, I've never been pregnant. So I just casually said it. I just told Debo, I was like, you know what? Maybe you should get pregnancy strips. I should just test and see if I'm pregnant. Just casually. And he actually took it. I didn't even mean it like he should buy it. So he went ahead and he bought it. He bought pregnancy strips. And then I tested. I remember he was in school. He went to school that day. So I was in the house. And then I tested and I was shocked that I was pregnant. I was very, very shocked. I was like, is this how people get pregnant? I was very shocked. And then I was still in his accommodation in Decatur. So we were there. And then I came out and I sat on the staircase and I took the strip and I was just looking at it. And I was Googling and I was looking at it. I was Googling and I was like, is this how people get pregnant? So then I called him. I was like, please, I need you to come like really fast. And he came and I told him, I was like, I'm pregnant and all that. And so I had a trip booked, I think in a couple of weeks after then to Bahamas and all that. But a week after I found out I was pregnant, I scheduled my antenatal in the hospital and all that, and I went. The antenatal was on a Monday. On that Sunday, I started bleeding that Sunday. So I started bleeding that Sunday. And I was like, okay. Oh, because bear in mind, this was all a week's interval. I was like, I started cooking. I was like, this cannot be normal. Okay, I found out I was pregnant a week ago. Okay, I'm bleeding now. What is going on? I started Googling. Then I started realizing that, okay, this could be a miscarriage. Okay. And then, so the bleeding continued. It didn't stop. And yeah, it was heavy bleeding. Heavy bleeding. So after all this, I then so Debo knew, and then we were both scared what's going on and all that. So I went to the hospital on that Monday, got to the hospital, and this was supposed to be my first appointment, right? Instead, I was going to complain about something else. I was like, I'm bleeding. What is going on and all that? So they did tests. They did a scan and everything. They couldn't see any baby. They did a scan. And the test strip, well, actually, I take that back. They did a scan. No, they did a scan. They couldn't see a baby. But they also do urine test. The urine test was saying I was pregnant. The scan wasn't showing a baby. So they had me wait, do series of tests and everything. And then, so my OB and everything came to see me, and she was like, okay, yes, it does appear that you were pregnant, but as of yesterday, I think you might have been miscarrying the baby. So, yeah. And also, I mean, this is TMI, I don't know. I did see like the baby come out on Sunday. So again, I was just like, I mean, they don't call it baby medically. They call it fetus, right?
Yeah.
So I was shocked there and everything. Like, I was like, okay, this is all like because it was all like a week. So I got back to the car. I think Debo was attending a meeting, so he couldn't go with me inside. I was like, okay, this is what they said was going on. He was like, yes, you are still. So he was still hanging on. He was like, okay, you're still pregnant. By God's grace, you're still pregnant. You're still pregnant. You're still pregnant. So we called up a couple of pastors that we were close to, right? And then we told them what was going on, and then they started praying with us, and they were like, no, you're not going to miscarry the baby. You're not going to. So they had given me, I think, they told me to come back to the hospital like 3 days after or something like that to just check. So I went back. So it's gradual because it's gradual, and then I was still bleeding and all that. So yeah, so by the time I got there on Wednesday and everything, like I can't remember if it was Wednesday, but a couple of days after, they did other tests for me again. I think it was still showing pregnant, but the scan was still showing that the baby, there was no baby and all that. So they now told me, they were like, yes, like, it's probably, you're still draining and everything, baby's still coming out. So anyway, long story short, was that I miscarried. I don't think I told a lot of people, so I miscarried. So I had a trip planned. I canceled the trip. It was really, because this was shortly after we got married, it was really tough. I think it was tougher on my husband. It was tougher on Debo, because I had never seen him up until then break down as much as that. Because we were not expecting a baby, then a baby came, and then so he really, like, I remember there would just be days he would just stare. You would just be staring. It's like watching a TV. Like, this was shortly after, maybe like a week or two after. You'd just be watching TV. He's in a good mood, and all of a sudden he's crying. He's like crying. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, he would go to church, and you could tell from his face that something was wrong. So, but the pastors were there. They encouraged us and all that. So, I mean, that was how that
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that was how that happened. So, we're just like, okay, get back to life. Life continues. I mean, it was tough. It was, because when I think about that, it was really tough. Like, it was, because I'm like losing a child, like, but that period was also very stressful because I didn't know I was pregnant. So I wasn't taking care. Like, I was still very, very doing like a lot of stressful things. The wedding was planned. I was still working. I was traveling. So there was so much that was going on then. But, we went through that phase, and then, like, okay, we keep living life. I mean, what can we do? Thank God for where we are. So, okay, and then found out that we were pregnant again. And I think this was, I didn't know again. Like, I didn't pay attention. Like, I think it was like early the next 2025 that I found out that we were pregnant again. So I wasn't really paying attention again because I don't like to put my mind too much to it. It was at that time that we were like, okay, maybe we can actually, instead of waiting till he's done with school, maybe they actually have a baby. Like, you have that joy, like, maybe we can actually have a baby. So we're like, okay, let's now try. So it was the following year that we now really found out that we were pregnant, and I was still very scared because of what had happened. So I wasn't willing to. You were still
traveling.
I was, and he was at that time. He became very protective because of what had happened. He was like, "I need you to take things easy. Don't do this. Don't do that." I was like, "I'm fine." I was like, "No, don't." So, but I was still traveling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank God, though.
Yeah, so that's my beginning of the journey to motherhood.
Basically.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
This is very intense. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make it intense.
When you said, "Oh, is that what I'm like?" I want to record. I want to see our face in something because I feel like we both froze at the same time. Like, what do you
mean by that?
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like a lot of people, and I'm glad you're sharing it as well. I feel like a lot of people have had like these things, but they never really say it because, and I'm like, it's never easy when you know that there could, like, is a situation of what could possibly have been. And like, it's also, and I cannot even imagine what must have been going on through your mind. Like, oh, if I had known, like, there would be a lot of if I had,
what if scenario.
Like, had I known kind of thing. But
and I think the quickness of it as well is like found out like this.
Yeah. Apparently, I was already like maybe like 10 weeks or 8 weeks at that time. Yeah, pregnant, like 8 weeks or so pregnant at that time. Yeah. So
But if you had to like talk to, someone who like, because again, like there's so many things that would go on through people's mind. Is like, oh, is he my buddy? Is he me? Could I have done something better? Like some people have even had like multiple, right? Like,
yeah.
What would you say?
I mean, I'm not even sure I'm qualified to be honest to say that, but I think in my case, I went through that. What if, I could have done things better, I could have done this and all that. But I also say that sometimes, I'm a Christian, so man proposes, honestly, and what the will of God is the will of God. I'm not saying the will of God is for you to miscarry, but again, if some things are out of your control, what can you do? There's nothing you can do, right? Of course, if you know you're pregnant, you take care of yourself, actively take care of yourself. I mean, during the second pregnancy, I did much better in taking care. I'm not saying the reason for the first pregnancy was because I did. Obviously, I didn't know, right? But if you know you're pregnant, definitely take all the precautions that you're supposed to do. Take every step, But if it's out of your control, I would say, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself, because the faster you even recover, the better for you, right? Don't be too hard on yourself. And again, having a supportive community or partner is very important. In my case, like Debo was really, really, really supportive. There was no like blame. We never even for once said we could have done this better. There was no throwing around of blames, nothing like that. We both went through the journey together. It was both, he was crying, I was there to support. I cried, he was there to support. There was nothing like, okay, yeah. So we just supported each other through it. And then we were looking at the bright side. Just looked at the bright side, like, okay, it can be better. At least now we even know we can get pregnant. That's the first step, right? So I would say, if you know, take all the precautions and then take care of yourself. And honestly, after that, just pray to, if you're a Christian, pray to God, and just move on, to be honest, gradually.
I think one of the things I loved in like even just you're sharing your story and everything is you said we were pregnant. Like I think just saying that as like we were pregnant, like it was not just like yes you were the one physically carrying the baby, right? But it's like it was a partnership at the end of the day, right? Because a lot of times people say, oh I like they internalize it and it's like okay it's me happen to why you.
It was both of us. So. It was both of us.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So, but like now you have like our baby at this point. As in the cutest 9-year-old.
9 months old.
9 months old.
You're about to. Wait.
9 months old. The point of correction. What has that been like?
It's been. I'll use 2 words. It's been amazing, and it's also been a responsibility. Yeah, so both. It's been amazing. Amazing responsibility. Yeah, I think amazing because, like looking. No one really has the manual for motherhood, right? You just give birth and then you start to figure out things. Experiences, readings, learnings. You figure out things. But when you look at it and you actually see, I see her developing. I see her. Doing things, smiling, like, wow, I'm actually capable of doing something amazing, and that for me is such a blessing, because seeing her and just saying, I think it was 2 days ago or 3 days ago, I was just looking at her, I was like, you bring so much joy.
Aww.
Like, you bring so much joy. Like, the way she smiles, she's excited when she sees me, that's amazing for me. The responsibility part is, of course, I don't think there's anything that's amazing that you don't have a responsibility. Anything that is good comes with responsibility. So that's the part of the responsibility. It is a lot of work. Raising another human, it's a lot of work. It's the task. They're almost unending. Like there's something to do at every point. Like so that's the responsibility part. But I think the balance is when you look at it and it's bringing out there's so much success out of what I'm doing. Like she's growing, she's developing, she's excited, she's happy, so I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm happy to take on the responsibility because I can see the success and the fulfillment in it. So yeah.
How is your sleeping? Do you still sleep?
That's part of the response. So, Jesus. So, I used to be very routine in my life prior to having a baby and even being married. I used to have a good routine. I sleep at 10. My husband knows 10 o'clock, even if he's out at 10, by the time he comes, I'm snoring at 10. I'm sleeping. So I sleep at 10 and I'm always up by 5:30-ish. Routine has flown out of the window. So I can sleep anywhere, anytime. So prior to having a baby, to fun fact, I don't take naps in the afternoon. I don't, because I sleep so well at night. I don't have a reason to take naps during the day. So I didn't used to take naps. But now I can nap anytime, anywhere, anyhow. I can sit. If you are not careful, I'll nap on this podcast. So yeah,
that's so funny.
Yeah, but sleep has definitely changed. Like I tried to, like yesterday evening, like in between, I quickly rushed to do some of the things I had to do. There are still things I didn't get to, but I was like, you know what? I'm still going to take a 30-minute nap in between. So I took a 30-minute nap in between, like all my day, like all that. So I try to get sleep whenever I can these days.
One question I had is, now that you're a mom, what are some things that you are now even more grateful to your mother for? Like there are some things that you're like, like thank you so much, or like thinking, how I don't know, what I'm sure I know you are very close to your mom, but a lot of people are like, mothers can be very annoying sometimes. Like the closer you are, the least the lesser you agree, the farther you are, the more you agree. But like even in those moments, like now that you have your own child, you're like, okay, I see some things.
A lot of things. I'm so grateful. A lot of things. Like, I don't know how my mom balanced motherhood with like cooking. Like, like I know when my mom was here, like because she was here for like 5.5 months or so. Like, I didn't have to, like, she would cook and I didn't have to. But now I think about it, like, how did she do it with 3 children and then cooking full time? And my mom was also a career woman. Like, she traveled a lot but she was also always available. I'm like, how did you do all that? Like, you balance career, then you were cooking in the house. Like, because, back in the days, we didn't have all this. You're going to...
Yeah.
I mean, we had, like, Mr. Biggs and all that.
But not the norm.
That was not... Eating out was not the norm.
You can't do it all the time.
The maximum you do is when you come back home, you eat rice and chicken after Sunday. That's it. That's your Christmas meal. Eh? So the fact that, they did that heavy cooking, I know there are times we'll pound yam in our house. Like, I'm like, I don't even have time to turn poundo now. And cooking is not really my strong. Like, I love eating at home. Like, I rarely eat out, but I don't like the efforts that it takes into cooking. So I'm like, how did my mom do that? And then she had full-time jobs. Sometimes it's you just start to think, like, how did they manage all these things together? Like, how? So I think, in retrospect, like, I wrote her a card when she was leaving. I was like, just thank you so much for taking care of me, for the sacrifices. And then, just, the reflections, that seeing that how much, I just have one and I'm like, But
that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I think just thinking about like our parents and all those times when we were young, that you always felt like our parents were angry or our moms were angry. But when you now think about it, like looking back, they told you to bring out meat from the freezer since morning.
Yeah, you did not bring it out.
Your mother will not come back from a long day of work, entering traffic. She'll not see you laughing at the TV. And you did not bring out the meat is still frozen. Why did they not knock your head?
So I see
when
why.
You think back, you'll be like, Actually, I was a stubborn child. Actually, our anger was justified.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
We appreciate things more when we are in that position.
No.
Because even like before you get married, Seth, like when you go out and you know that you're supposed to have taken something out and maybe you forgot. By the time you now come back, you're like, okay.
Yeah, I know.
Like you blame yourself.
I
Like, you
know.
be like,
I know.
I should have done this thing before I went out.
I know.
But at that time, you were just like, you're just a child. Like, you'd be like, why did you bring me to this world?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did
you bring me?
I know. You gotta be fronting for them now. You're like,
Yes, I don't beg you to come to this world. You're the one that said you wanted to have children. But now, like when you now put yourself in those shoes, you're
no.
okay.
No. There's a lot of there are a lot of gleanings that you just be like, wow. Like just talking about, asking. I remember many times, like, they'll tell you to do stuff. They'll tell me to do stuff, and like maybe we spent, those days we could play around the neighborhoods, like you play with other kids, like in the neighborhood and all that. We would have gone to play. We would not even remember what we would have played. We would have been playing table tennis. We just hear the car honking. Run and be doing everything. I'm like, oh man, I could have done better.
But you're just a child. At the end of the day, you're just a child. That's why we always, I think we said on this podcast as well before, that give your mothers grace.
Yeah.
And I know that there are some people that they don't have like a good relationship with their mothers. It differs by person. Again, like I can't tell for everybody's experience, but give your mother grace. Like whatever she did at that time, that was the best that she thought that she could have done at that moment. It doesn't justify like
what had happened,
whatever happened, but just give your mother grace.
Yeah.
Teni, anything else that you want to leave us with on this glorious and amazing Mother's Day?
The glorious. I mean, motherhood is beautiful, it's beautiful. But it's also a lot of responsibility. It's also a lot of responsibility. And I think, as a community, I think, we should all, mothers, whether biological, just support ourselves much better, because there's so much that goes into motherhood, parenting. And I also say that, it would be good for people to choose their spouses correctly, just because you need support. You need a lot of support. A lot of support. It's not a journey that one can do by themselves. So having support from your spouse, from community, is very important. I'm at that point where I'm kind of attached to her, but also I also know that I cannot. I can't glue her to myself 100%, So I'm in that journey where, community, you have to let go. And that comes from when you have a trusted community that you can always rely on and depend on, So it's always good to have that, have a good spouse, have a good community, and know that, you're, even when you make mistakes, because I could tell you, let me tell you this blunder that I made. So when she was probably a couple of months or weeks, I can't remember right now, she was sleeping in her crib, and I had my hand over her. This was the time where, the newborn stage, you're waking up every 2 hours to feed, and it's so exhausting. So I had my hand over her. She was sleeping, and all that. I think I just fed when she went back to sleep. And even as I had my hand over her, she was crying. She was crying. I did not hear she was crying. I did not hear she had cried. And at that time, my mom was still, she was just a couple of weeks, so my mom was still around. My mom had heard. So because my mom knew that, so it was like my mom was also very alert to helping me. And my mom knew, so she heard her crying. And for a long time, she didn't hear any, pacifying or anything. She just so my mom just stormed into the room, and she saw my hand over her, and she just tapped me like, she's been crying. I was like, oh my goodness. I felt that was, I think, the first. I don't know what to call it. The first non-responsive. I don't know what other word to use that. I felt so bad that day because she was crying. She had cried a lot, and I felt the mom guilt. Like, how could I have been sleeping and not hear my daughter crying? How? I felt so bad. In fact, when my mom, try to pacify him, like, it's okay, it happens, you're exhausted, you're tired, like, I'll take her. So my mom helped and everything. I had to go online and I'm like, has any mothers ever made this mistake? Have they ever made the mistake of sleeping and not? I went on Reddit and I was like, has anyone has made this mistake? Like, how could I sleep off? Like, what kind of mother am I? What kind of...
See that comment? Like, you want to justify that I'm sure you found your answers. I'm sure you found your answers.
In fact,
you found words.
I think 9 in 10 mothers that I read, they're like, the most horror stories, they were like, I slept, or I did not. Some will even say, I did not feed. I was just saying stories. I was like, it's like, that's where. So what I'm trying to draw from that is that give yourself grace. There'll be mistakes. Like, you'll make mistakes. You've not done this before. Your body's tired. You're raising a human being. You know, even at this is just the newborn stage. I'm sure there will still be other mistakes that I'll make. Yeah. You know, right? Give yourself grace. You're not perfect. Are you striving to be perfect? Am I striving to be perfect? Of course I am striving to be perfect. But, so my mom was very kind daddy to, tell me that, hey, you're tired. You're waking up every 2 hours. And before the 2 hours, you are feeding, you will change diaper, then you will bop and then again, before you know it again, it's time to do it again. So she had to tell me, like, listen, don't be too hard on yourself. You've not done this before. And even if you've done this before, mistakes are bound to happen. So yeah, so give yourself grace. Mistakes will happen, but you can always bounce back. Or go online to check and justify and help yourself out.
Justify yourself.
Oh, that night I was up for like 2 hours on Reddit, like reading, like, oh my goodness.
Like, hey, it's not just me.
This person was like, like the most. I was like, are you serious? So like, I did not hear her crying for, like, it's the neighbor. And like, wow. When I finished that day,
you felt better.
I felt, because the guilt that had enveloped me at that point, I felt like I was the worst. The worst.
And I'm sure there'll be someone also listening to this, that when they hear this, they'll be like, okay, like, it's not just me.
It's not
that feels this.
Do your best. Absolutely, do your best. Read. Try to educate yourself, but you are not
when
perfect.
When you are doing it in practical.
You're not perfect.
Are there things that you were doing before that now you're like, okay, I have a child, I can't do this again? You know how I think we were talking about yesterday about like how we need, like, when you have a baby, you need to start building a lifestyle now. That when you have your baby, because just like you said, it's now not a responsibility. Like, God has given this person into your hands. So like, you guys are her primary pastor. Like, you guys are the ones that she will see first, basically. So are there things that you're like, okay, you've been actively like building a lifestyle for, even now that you're like, okay, I have to consciously or intentionally do these things, or not do these things because I now have a child?
Yeah, that's one part of it. Yeah. So there's so many things. I'm trying to think of vivid examples. There's something that I thought about like a couple of weeks ago that I was like, geez, I have to stop doing this. Like, so I think in just who I am and who I don't want to be someone who says something and does the wrong thing, like hypocritical, right? Because I feel like she's going to pick up on that. And then when it comes to like the little things, like, so with my nails, I have long nails. Like, sometimes when I feel like my nails are not rhymed, I could like use my teeth to like bite. I'm like, and I notice she would just look at me like what I'm doing, and I'm like, this girl is probably thinking
this is something
she has to do. Yeah, and I'm like, so I'm like, okay, I shouldn't be doing like that's very minute, but it's something. And so a couple of times I've seen her like just put my hands. I know she's not doing it because she thinks I should stop something, but I'll just see her put my hand down, and then I just come to that consciousness like, okay, I shouldn't actually be biting my nails. Like, this is not right, right? So there are things like that, there are little things like that, but there are also ways that I present myself and my actions. I'm like, okay, she also makes me want to know God more, because I feel like I'm the first encounter of God that she's going to know, myself and her dad. Absolutely. At the first encounter. So I have that, I'm actively wanting, because I can imagine her asking me questions like, "Mommy, why did Abraham have to tell Sarah to be
Say, shut up.
like you know that kind of a thing? Like don't ask that kind of a thing. Like I'm like, would I be telling her when you get to children's classes, go and ask? Like no, I have to know the answers. So I'm always trying to equip myself spiritually because I want her to really know the Bible and know it for herself, know God for herself, right? And I feel like she's going to have a lot of questions for myself and her dad. And I want to be in that position where I am answering and I know that I'm giving her genuine answers. Not that, I think, no, I want to be able to, I may not know all the answers, but at least I should know majority of them. So that part of spirituality, I really want to make sure that she gets that knowledge. And I know I have to provide a lot of those answers to her. So things like that are things that I feel like I have to be very intentional about. And then,
Hey, where's your offering bag? Because now puppies now remain. Maybe we just give you like this. Everything you said on this podcast so far, I'm just being like,
if you want to sow into the ministry,
give your Zelle details to the camera.
My Zelle details are.
It's me that will send you Teni because Teni is a baller.
Please, don't let my helper leave me. I beg, please,
this has been
amazing.
Like this is an amazing podcast episode. Like when you get home, tell them about that. We are feeling this one.
This was so good.
Okay, I think this is the best time to do our daily dose of EO. So do you do this to our podcast episode? Do you do this to our podcast?
I have not listened to everything, but I do listen to them. Okay. I do listen to some of them, yes.
Okay. Yes. Give us your daily dose or today's dose of EO. So
what you want to leave us with.
Okay. What do I want to leave with? That seems like even pressure to say what I want to leave someone with. I'll just say be amazing. Is it just general, like
generally?
Just
it could
general.
be to people. It could be about mothers. It could just generally, basically.
Okay. Generally, I would say, you're human. You're not perfect, right? I think the best you can do is to not be on the same spot as you are yesterday. Keep growing, being intentional about yourself. Keep learning, keep doing your best, and also don't be too hard on yourself. Have fun while doing all that. Life is a journey. None of us have been on this journey. We're all learning. We are all learning, and so just do your best every day, one step at a time. Every day, one step at a time. And I'll also say be deliberate about the people you surround yourself with too. I'm grateful for this amazing people, Ebo and Omolorun, amazing people. To be honest, I mean,
face?
So everything she's saying is entering my head. I said,
let's enter. Let's enter. I mean, to be honest, and I'm not saying this because it's cliche. Just be because when you see people around you, you also want to be better, and when you have a community of people around you that are good, you also aspire. I learn from you guys, to be honest. I mean, I learn from both of you, right? I also want to be better. So, be deliberate about the community you surround yourself with. The spouse you end up with, please be deliberate. Be very deliberate. And then at the center of it all, this is Girls Glasses God podcast. Put God first at the center of it all. God is the ultimate. He is the entire ultimate of everything. And even when things feel like they're not working, God is still at the center. He's working it all out. So yes, thank you. Thank you both for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Of course, this was a wonderful episode. Everyone's with today's dose.
I have 2 doses because you can't overdose on this podcast.
I love that. Okay.
You can't overdose.
You can't overdose on this podcast.
You can't overdose
on this podcast.
So the first one is God is a restorer. It's something that God has been telling me recently, and I'm glad you shared your story as well. God is a restorer. Like he he restores. Like nothing is too far gone. When you think that, oh, you've missed it, or you think that this can never happen, God is a perfect restorer as well. Like he gives you even much more. So if you're at that stage where you think that, you know, nothing is happening, or like maybe you feel you can't see the end of the tunnel, I would say like go back to God and just hold on to him and hold on to his word, because that's one thing that will keep you going. And if you have that at the back of your mind, that God is a restorer as well, you find yourself like living in peace of I know God has got me. So just wanted to put that out there for anyone who needs to hear that. And the second thing is that we've said it before, but give your mothers grace, give your parents grace actually. And I'm saying this because a lot of people have different experiences with their parents. A lot of people especially have different experiences with their mother. Some don't have the best experience. Some have, you know, gone through different things, and I don't want to like start putting on different cases because I might never have been in those situations. But I just want to say that forgiveness is a thing. So if you think that you need to forgive your parents, maybe you should. And even if you're not even in that case of, oh, I need forgiveness, like don't take your parents for granted. Don't take your mother for granted. You know, they are, if you were in their shoes as well, you don't know if you would have been good or better. Like you might have been better, but like I always say that people pass on trauma, and you know, everybody's striving to be better than the last person. So you don't know who their last person was or what their own last trauma was. And then like what we want to keep doing from generation to generation is making sure that we are always better, right? But people that have gone before have probably had even worse things that you unless you are there, you just never know. And I'm not making any excuse for anybody. I'm just saying that I'm just making a case for forgiveness, basically. So so forgive, and if find ways to, you know, restore yourself to your family, to your parents. And this is Mother's Day. Send beautiful gifts to your mothers. Send great messages, cards, like write out appreciation to them, because they are superhuman beings.
Superheroes.
So what about you?
So my today's dose of EO is for you to trust God in your waiting season. I think we've mentioned it here that, you know, especially when I'm just going back to, like, since this is like the theme for the Mother's Day, like relationships, like marriage, all of that. Trust God in your waiting season. And I'll take a cue from what Teni said, like think about how you've developed yourself in your singleness. And you also don't want to lower your standards to say, oh, because I feel like time is going. I feel like time is never really going. I think it's just what society has entrusted upon us, like, oh, if you are past a certain age, like God's time is the best at the end of the day. So if you are faithful in God and God has not brought you that person who is meant to be your partner in this life, like trust that God is keeping you in the waiting season for a reason, right? And just continue to develop yourself, continue to be excellent at doing what you're doing. Try to also try new things, right? Like if you like traveling, visit different places. And also trust that, you know, don't also romanticize what you've seen in the movies or what you've seen other people say about, oh, I met so and so person. Like just trust God in your waiting season. And I know that he's going to do something like that. Even at the end of the day, when you are now seeing your story, you're going to be grateful for the fact that you trusted God, you waited, and you didn't lower your standards, you didn't lower, like you just waited and you trusted on God, and you know it's going to be an amazing like success story. So this has been amazing.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You're a natural.
I had fun.
You had fun. Who are the people that you want to call out that they should watch this episode specifically?
I will start from my family members because they have to watch it. I'm here. They have to. So I'll start from my brother. Simi, make sure you watch this. Your sister is on the podcast. My first podcast. Okay. So Simi, Lamide, and of course my husband, Debo. He will watch it. He will watch it. As long as I'm in there, even if I'm not in there, these are his people, so he's going to watch it.
You'll be our special.
You watch it, and we are sharing all the way, liking, subscribing, all the way, please.
I love it. All right, guys, thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one.
Bye.